Now, when it comes to the game of eating for fat loss and for body transformation, as I'm sure you guys have seen, there are a million different things that we could do based on what all the different gurus and experts are telling us. It's like there are hundreds of things. Like, it blows your mind when you actually start looking into this stuff. But in reality, we can break it down and we can bring it down to like three things. And there are three things which I would consider the best things to focus on doing less of when trying to burn fat and lose weight. So over the next 3 to 5 minutes, that's exactly what I'm going to show you guys. Now, along with this, there are ideally three things that we do more of. And if you want a copy of my metabolic matrix, no, that's wrong. My metabolic meal method, sorry, which is based around my metabolic matrix. So if you'd like a copy of my metabolic meal method report, which shows you the exact three things we should do less of and the exact three things we should do more of in order to burn fat, lose weight, and increase your energy and confidence, drop the word metabolic in the comments below or reach out to me in the DMs. And again, mention that word metabolic and I'll get that sent over to you absolutely free. Now, before I go on and sort of dig in more to that, what are these three things? Now, the first thing that we need to look at is the obvious one, the one we all really know, and that is we need to ideally reduce or even eliminate, in some cases, any of our processed and bad fats. So the processed foods and the bad fats. So you know all the junky stuff, the cakes, the sweets, the biscuits, the chocolate, and all the rest of it. Now, in reality, for most of us, we do not have to completely eliminate it, but it certainly helps if we reduce it. And in most cases, significantly reduce it. Because along with the excess calorie content and the lack of nutrition that it actually provides, the other issue, of course, that we have is it comes with a lot of toxicity to the system. So yes, your body has to deal with all the excess calories and the fact that it's nutritionally deficient, but it also has to deal with the fact that it creates a lot of toxicity within the system, which of course isn't going to help your efforts when you're trying to get healthier, trying to burn fat, trying to build muscle, trying to get out of pain and reduce inflammation, or whatever your goal might be. Having a lot of this junk in your diet is not going to help. And we all know that inherently, but of course it's very tasty, it's very addictive, it's very convenient. So therefore we find it difficult to get rid of. But if we're serious, if we're at this place where we're serious and we genuinely want results, that's one of the things that in reality we're going to have to kind of look at. So, okay, well, I better reduce all the processed foods and the bad fats. Now, when I say bad fats, I'm talking about the likes of vegetable oil, canola oil, sunflower oil, and things like that. So all of your liquid oils that we've been told are so heart healthy and great for cooking with and frying with, they're not. It's bullshit. So where possible, we want to eliminate that, because what has actually been shown in research that's not funded by the companies selling you this crap or funded by the companies that run the pharmaceutical companies that own this crap, then what we find is actually this stuff causes a lot of inflammation in the body and causes damage to tissues. Once it's exposed to heat or light, it damages and becomes carcinogenic and so on. So where possible, we want to remove all of that junk where we can. So that's all of your processed and junk foods. So all of your packaged junk, where possible, remove as much of that as you can. And the use of bad and damaged fats that many of us unfortunately have been led to believe are the good ones and are the healthy ones for us, because unfortunately that's just not the case. So that's the first thing. So we do less of that. The second thing that we need to do is, generally speaking, many of us need to reduce the overall calorie intake or the overall food quantity that we're eating. Now, we don't want to restrict calories, but we may need to reduce them. So when I say we don't want to restrict them, one of the recommendations that we get is you must be on a calorie deficit. And that's not the case. So that's not to say that it doesn't help and it won't work to help you lose weight. But often when we do that, we actually end up damaging our metabolism, and our metabolic rate will actually lower if we do it for extended periods of time. So then what we find is when we try to go back to a normal healthy lifestyle, or a normal, or what we would have considered a normal lifestyle prior, that we end up gaining all the weight back and more and so on, because restricted calorie intakes for extended periods of time actually cause a lot of damage to our physiology. So what we would do instead is go, okay, well, how can I reduce my calorie intake but without compromising the system? And the way I recommend you do that is that you slow down and you listen. Now, slow down simply means that we, where possible, we take anywhere from 15 to 20 minutes for our meal. So if I'm sitting down, I'm now eating my meal, I will deliberately take 15 to 20 minutes to complete that meal. Now, the reason for this is because it takes on average around 20 minutes for the body to signal satiety. And this is regardless of whether we stuff our face or whether we take our time. So taking your time, chewing your food a bit more and so on, and actually enjoying your food and not just scoffing it down because you're in a hurry to get on to the next thing is going to be a great benefit. Now, the next thing that we do, again, rather than counting calories and measuring and weighing and all the rest of it, which can be done, but is often not necessary, the other thing that we do is listen. Now, when I say listen, what we're looking at is listening to our body and how it feels. So we're trying to identify the point at which we are 80% full. Once we've reached this point of 80% full, then what we can do is stop the meal. Now, what that does, of course, is automatically lowers the calorie consumption that we're taking in. And believe it or not, which is pretty obvious to you in reality, if we eat until we're stuffed all the time, it's likely we're overeating and then going to continue to gain weight or find it a struggle or difficult to lose weight. So that's the next step. So that's step 2. We want to slow down and listen. Now, the final step comes down to our starchy carbohydrates. Now, we don't want to eliminate them, and often we don't need to eliminate them, but many people do need to reduce them. So the way we do that is, where possible, stick to 1 cupped handful per main meal. So if you got your hand here and it's cupped, as you can see on the camera, and so, for example, if this is rice or if this is bread or potatoes and so on, your starchy carbohydrates, which aren't necessarily bad, but can make it tricky for us to lose weight if we're eating too much of them, we just want to reduce the overall consumption of those, because by reducing them, therefore, the meals that we tend to eat will on average have a lesser effect on our blood sugar, which in turn is going to have a lesser effect on our body's insulin response and so on, which means over time we're actually going to be telling our body to store fat less than we would if we were continually eating these large quantities of carbohydrates in each of our main meals. Let me just grab some water here. Excuse me. So those are the 3 things that we need to do less of. So the first one is, where possible, we reduce or eliminate, if we're up for it, all of our processed junk food and our bad and damaged fats. So that's step 1. Step 2 is we slow down and listen. Slow down is where we take 15 to 20 minutes to finish our meal. And then the listen aspect is where we listen to our body and try to identify when we're 80% full. Once we're 80%, that's when we stop eating. And then the final thing is we reduce our overall consumption of starchy carbohydrates. We don't have to eliminate them, because carbs aren't bad like they've been led to, or like they've kind of led us to believe in the industry these days. You'll notice there was the original push. It was all bad fats, saturated fats. They're bad for you. They clog your arteries and so on. We don't hear that so much now because we've created a new enemy in sugar and starches and carbohydrates and so on. Carbs are bad. Reduce your carbs and all that. We don't need to do that. As in, we do need to reduce in many occasions, but not eliminate. There is a lot of nutrition to be had in many of our starchy carbohydrates. Not everybody needs tons of them, and not everybody needs to completely eliminate them, but often we do need to reduce them in order to sort out issues that some of us may be having with blood sugar and so on. And then that will also help us to burn more fat and lose more weight, and therefore achieve the body that we're actually after. Now, of course, as I mentioned, if you want the 3 things that we need to do more of as well, just drop the word metabolic in the comments below, or DM me the word metabolic, and I will send over my metabolic meal method report to you. So that way you'll have both sides of the coin, essentially. You'll have the 3 things that we need to do less of and the 3 things that we need to do more of in order to have a diet that is specifically designed to help you burn fat, lose weight, and of course, increase your energy and confidence. Right. Thanks for watching, people. I know it's a late one today, and I look forward to chatting with you in my next video.